Thank you, Bard. Well, everything wasn't really true, but I'm going to talk about image distributions with Datex II services and information about an ongoing project we have done with to enhance these services. Okay, I will give some background first about what kind of cameras we have. We have road surface cameras, approximately 400. They are mounted on the weather stations and delivers still images and updates once per hour today. In a couple of years we will have cameras on all weather stations. That will be around 800. Then we have in the cities, Stockholm, Gothenburg and Malmö, we have traffic flow cameras that are updated once per minute. And in these areas we also have video streams. And then we also have other types of cameras or sources, you could say, it's from municipalities and from construction works. And these cameras are used in many internal systems. Of course, they have it for winter maintenance to see the road surface. Yeah. And traffic management center and traffic information centers are, of course, using these images as well. And we publish it on websites, different kinds of websites we have. And for 3 or 4 years, we have these images also available for external clients, our Datex II clients, because they see these images as very valuable input and very attractive to users to look at. So a little background about the problem we had with our old services. We have metadata in a lot of systems, and they were maintained in many different systems by different administrators. So, and we merged this data once per year or so, and the data never looked good. You could see that this was from one system, this was from another system, and so on. So the quality was very poor. We did publish the metadata about the cameras via Datex II web services, and that it was okay, no problem with that. But we had we point to URLs in these services that were to our public web page. So this was not really good because we don't have a controlled access to these images. So we cannot guarantee for the other Datex II users that these images will be available for you. And clients also tend to hard-code these links in their applications. So the goal with this project was that we're going to create one system at Trafikverket to maintain all metadata about cameras. So we have one source. And then the same system should also be responsible for delivering of images and metadata to external clients and also to internal system as well. And we stick to delivering metadata based on Datex II, and that are done with extensions because it's not part of the core level A today of Datex. And then we also like to separate this image area, you could say. So we should not point to the public images on the web page. Instead, we should have a separate area dedicated for our Datex II clients. And of course, that area would be required to have authentication that all Datex users have. So with that, we would have controlled access and a controlled amount of load to these images. And we more or less force clients to download the images before they republish the images. And this, of course, the system should be scalable, and it should also be possible to stop publishing of a camera or images from a camera in case there are something that you don't like to publish on the image. A serious accident, for example. And this system should also handle metadata for still images and also for video streams. But the project we have, should not deliver video streams today, but the system should be able to handle metadata for video streams. A little bit about this camera services in Datex II. They are based on a CCTV extension that are published on the Datex II website. They were created by Highways Agency before Datex 2.0. So they've been there for a while. The level B extensions, they are very mature. With just very few changes we made to them. So they could be reused as they is, more or less. They're covering both static and dynamic part of information associated with CCTV cameras. And with the static part, we see things like position and name and so on. And dynamic part is if the camera is broadcasting or not. There is no way or no functionality to control a camera in this publication. But in the same way, it can give information about the direction of the camera, for example. And the actual access of images or video streams is not part of this publication itself. The publication points to a URL where you found the image or a video stream or similar things. This is the CCTV site table publication, which is a metadata about the camera. So I won't go into all details about this, but I just give you an overview. It's a list of cameras where you have a camera record, which could have a location of where this camera is. And then this can have a still image service or a video service, and they all point to URLs. The still image, it could be a reference image, thumbnail image, and so on. So this is the static part. In the dynamic part, which is much thinner or slimmer, you could say, less data, because this is supposed to be updated much more frequently, at least. You have the ID of the camera and a very important time where this data changed. And you can see for a still image service or a video service if this is broadcasting or not. And you can also have an enumeration telling availability of the service. So you can also handle with this if for example, the camera is temporarily unavailable due to maintenance or something. You can see this in this publication. So this could be queried often, and you can, by checking the date, the last update time, you can see which images that have a new image. So you can only download those images that are new. So you save a little bandwidth. This is an overview of the system. We have in the middle something that we call an image collection. It fetches images from different sources by file, by HTTP, by FTP. And here also we have the cameras. When an image is fetched, it will publish this image on an HTTP server. And at the same time, also update in the database the time when this image was fetched. And There is also an administration website where you can maintain all the metadata about cameras. And of course we have the Datex II web services, the site table publication and the status publication. Here are some slides just to for you to see how this administration website looks. Here it's just a list of a way to list all the cameras and filter all the cameras, you could say. So we see here a reference image, for example. It's not a live image, it's a reference image. And here we can see data about a camera. You can change the metadata about the camera, like position, ID, the source or type of camera, update frequency, resolution, etc. And also we have pictures like this to show an overview of where the camera is and what the direction, the viewing area of this camera. So by entering a coordinate and the direction, we can generate these kind of images automatically. There are more data below, but I don't show that. This is a map. Of course, you have a map in the system just to position the camera, but as well to show where the cameras are. And this resolution is rather small to see the cameras, but there are small black dots around Stockholm here. And you further out you go, you fewer cameras you have, of course. So the current status of this project is that we are now in testing phase and doing performance testing, and it looks good. We won't have any problems with our 100 customers. And we will start with a test implementation now for our public web page, which will be named Läget i trafiken. And we are now working also with merging and configuring all this data. That's a rather huge job. And also working to establish the internal processes to get the data in, and if someone changes the data and so on, it has to be go the right ways. And it's supposed to be in production in September and available to our service providers. That is the last slide. Any questions?
You need the static publication describing the location of these cameras. Do you have any tool or recommendation how to maintain this information? Because mostly people think, oh, this will appear somehow, but in fact it's a lot of work. Decide what kind of location referencing to use, maintain the data, update it at the moment some camera is removed or changed. How do you do that?
That's the internal processes. We have the reference system internally. We have our local reference system, that's SWIRF. And we have different responsible people for different type of cameras. So they are responsible for maintaining for example, the broad surface cameras. And then we have the cities are responsible for their cameras. But they all have to work in this system. So we force them to... yeah.
Any other questions? What I would like to add to your presentation, Jonas, is that what you see here is that there was an extension created by the Highways Agency in the UK for a specific need they had, and that could very well be fulfilled with a Datex II extension. And now you see that it has been reused by Sweden, and if another country says, well, we are going to do something with our cameras and want to publish the meta information from cameras as well, this even could go a step further. Then we have 3 countries actually using this extension, and that could mean that it is promoted to become an official Datex II extension, which in the end could mean that it will be a separate package in the standard as a whole. So you see that we facilitate the standardization process, and we facilitate the operational extensions. And so we see that in this way we can standardize the work that has been done and starts very locally. But if it is perceived valuable, it gets the status it desires.
Yeah, and it saves a lot of time. Of course, well, this model was very good, so it saves development time.
Yeah.
And I can also add that there are already 3 countries, because Norway is also using this.
Yeah, very well. That's good to know. That's good to know. Well, someone willing to take the chance to ask the last question of this user forum? Then I thank you. Thank you, Jonas.